That's quantum money. And that's better money because of quantum computing, where maybe you remove a consensus layer, which you call the last middleman, or maybe the last attack vector on money.
Yeah, so correct. It's kind of like in blockchain systems, finality is protocol defined. Okay, so for example, in Ethereum, we had the DAO, and we all agreed to unwind a transaction. So you can see how the protocol could be changed if there's some consensus among humans. Likewise, even with Bitcoin, if the miners decide, right, and could kind of come together, things could change, right? And so if you believe that AI or AGI will attack every probabilistic or game theoretic attack surface in the financial system, then finality being protocol defined is the target, in my opinion. Okay, so this concept of quantum money doesn't have that attack vector. And quantum money is actually quite an old concept. Brilliant physicist Stephen Weisner, I think in 1970 is when he first came up with the concept. And then in 1982 or 83, he published a white paper. And so basically, when you have a quantum state, okay, so you sort of had this like, kind of like entangled qubits or entangled particles, measuring that state produces a very unique result, okay? And so you can't clone that. It's impossible. And so this is called the no cloning theorem. So the fact that you have this very unique footprint, if you will, which you can measure from a quantum state, means that you can anchor the security of the system in a very unique measurement or output, if you will, okay? And so you anchor the financial system to the laws of quantum mechanics rather than the laws of the Federal Reserve or the laws of, the blockchain protocol. And this is unbreakable. If you can break it, probably you can also like create a portal or a wormhole into another dimension, in which case, who cares about digital assets? Like, I want to come along for that ride instead. And so quantum money is digital assets that are based on this principle where, just like with cash, so I give you a $100 US bill, we don't need a blockchain or any kind of registry to verify that bill. In fact, the bill has security built into it. The hologram, the material, and so on. And you can kind of check it, you go to the store, they put the marker on the $100 bill and so on. And so we can transact cash and it's totally private. It's peer-to-peer and we don't need trust infrastructure. You kind of do because the security is baked into the bill, but aside from that, you don't need some, ledger, for example. Same thing with quantum money. So you've got your wallet, your digital wallet, and by the fact that, that digital asset appears in your wallet and the security baked into it that's inherent to it, you have basically perfect cryptographic assurances that it's real and hasn't been forged. Okay, and so now you can transact without needing to verify on the blockchain. And I think this is going to be the future of stablecoins. However, we have to be very clear. In order for us to reach this point, we need technological dependencies like quantum memory, which doesn't really exist right now, or it doesn't exist for more than brief instances in time. So this is like a significant dependency. We need quantum internet telecommunications infrastructure. We need all sorts of other like complementary technologies that I would say, and I would encourage everyone to do their own research, when you look at the totality of all, let's say the most relevant, biggest, important tech companies, sovereign wealth funds, governments, anyone you can think of, smart money, researchers, they are like well into developing this infrastructure, okay? So the quantum internet, and I would encourage people just go on YouTube and type in, or don't go on YouTube, maybe go on Rumble or wherever Brian Rose is, but just go online and type in quantum internet and you'll see tons of information. And it's something that, at an institutional level, a government level, a military level, a corporate level, a startup level, an academic research level, has been well underway for some time. It might be new to the casual crypto person, but what I'm saying is the development of these dependent technologies is well underway. And when you look at all the largest sovereign wealth funds, and this is what happened to me last year when I started getting into this stuff, I was like, how is it that I have no idea what's actually going on in this space? I had like existential angst. When, again, it's the most salient, let's say, it's like the thing that threatens the blockchain. I mean, that's one of the things quantum computers can actually do potentially. Right. Of all the things they can't do that people think they can do, this particular thing they can do well. So the biggest risk that I face, I have no hedge against, I don't even know about.
What the London Real Investment Club actually does for you, it gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals. In the last 3 weeks, I've participated in 3 incredible deals: a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol, an incredible AI protocol. The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals, and that's exactly what we've done. Not only that, you get to hang out with Brian Rose every week, and for me, that was huge because I look at Brian as somebody who's not only an expert in the space, and I think is on the leading edge, but just the leading edge of thought with London Real and the work he's doing there. To anyone who's taking a serious look at this, I know it's a big decision. It was a big decision for me and my family, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I wish you all the best and hope you come join us.
That's kind of what caused me angst. But when you start digging into this stuff, you'll see, for example, Global Founders. We actually met in the UAE through a mutual friend, great guy named Ron. But it's kind of like the UAE, Abu Dhabi, that's very smart capital, right? Very smart. Mubadala and others, and they've invested in Global Foundries a very long time ago. They've been investing, TII, which is the advanced research lab there, they've been running their own quantum computers for a long time. They have a quantum cryptography department, etc. They've invested many, many, many billions. And you'll find every single sovereign wealth, every single big capital allocator for a long time has been investing in this space. Okay. Google, IBM, Microsoft, right? The CEOs of these major companies, we talked about Jensen earlier, the CEO of Microsoft, Sundar, I'm drawing a blank here. I think Sundar, right, is his name?
Satya,
yeah. And Sundar is Google.
Google, yeah.
Correct. They're on TV talking about this stuff. Okay. Yeah. So it's moving. And blockchain, and in particular, the fact that we can sleep good at night knowing our private keys are safe so long as we take care of them, is a byproduct. It's a casualty along the way. There's another thing I kind of wrote about, when you look at the incentives for developing quantum computing and developing all these components that I mentioned, like quantum memory and the quantum internet and new types of infrastructure and so on, they're extremely high, much, much higher than even the value of Bitcoin. Okay, so it's a technological progress, the road moving forward, where elliptic curve cryptography and the basis of this thing that allows us to sleep good at night is the lowest hanging fruit along the way. And so
are your assets secure now?
Well, I don't think this isn't something that I worry about today. Realistically, I have it in my mind that by 2028. So first of all, I monitor the roadmap. I'm into this stuff deep. And by the way, it's also very fascinating because I'll be perfectly honest with you. Very often, I felt a little bit bored with crypto, especially since really when you look at Ethereum or Solana or whatever, it's how do we rehypothecate this? That's kind of the innovation layer we're at right now, compared to 10 years ago where it was all new and interesting. But getting into the quantum stuff, every single day I learn something new, and I don't know anything. So it's mentally very stimulating. I don't think this is a risk. I still have my crypto assets, and I will for a number of years. I'm definitely not looking to sell now because I think the market is heading in the right direction. But 2028 is when I start to get, a little bit cautious. And I try to follow the timelines. I try to learn as much as I can. And at that point, I may be one of those people that just decides, okay, I don't know what the risk is anymore. I'm confident it's not today, so I'm fine with keeping my crypto assets. But at that point, yeah, I may just want to put them in a quantum safe bank account somewhere. One other point on this, and so again, it's kind of like, it's easy to say and dismiss someone as a conspiracy theorist until later, it turns out they were 100% right. And I'm not saying I'm going to be 100% right on this, but I don't think it's a conspiracy to suggest that the first run of quantum capability will be for the military and intelligence services. I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that
they're already thinking about this. They've been thinking about this for a long time.
Correct.
The military.
Correct. And I don't think public, I don't think the markets are going to get access before like the CIA, the NSA, the US military. Likewise, I don't think Chinese companies are going to get access before the PLA, and so on, right? So then you kind of look at it and you say, well, and the analog I like to use, the SR-71 Blackbird, they started that in like 1949, right? That is an amazing piece of technology that you would look at today and think is ultra modern and was just built, and it's very old. And so, yeah, once in a while we get a glimpse into the true state of military tech, very, very rarely, and people are always shocked. So I think it's reasonable to assume this category of technology falls under the same, because it does have such tremendous applications in military context. If a military, had such capability, they would be not incentivized at all to disclose it to their nemesis, or their adversaries, because they may be able to get tremendous information that otherwise wouldn't be available. So 2028 is what the public roadmaps say for these public companies like IonQ, but let's just say they coalesce around 2030, 2031. I don't know, maybe the military and intelligence communities are ahead of that, maybe. So I don't actually know really when do I think the NSA or the CIA is going to break Bitcoin? No, I don't think so. I think it serves American interests, but you never know. You see, for example, I love the United States. I think it's the greatest country in the world. Like I said, my kids are American. All my family is. I grew up there. But the reality is, every once in a while, it's not so great when, for example, those FBI agents with Ross and others steal the Bitcoin and then they end up going to jail. Yeah. Okay, so even in a country as great as America, you get corruption from within. So I don't know what's going to happen. What if the intelligence services do have access to this type of technology way ahead of anyone else, and somebody there is opportunistic and thinks, hey, I can steal $100 million for myself and nobody will know about it. We've already seen former federal employees attempting to do that. So that's another leakage risk that is hard to account for. When you start to unfurl all the different ways this could go squirrely, and then you're just sitting there, and really your entire life is just anchored on elliptic curve cryptography, and a lot of these attack vectors and risks you don't even have visibility into. I think as the market begins to process all of this, again, it goes back to what I was saying, being ready for this stuff will be the most bullish catalyst for price, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, and for all these networks. And they have to start taking it seriously now, in my opinion.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.